Shalom, everyone. So earlier today, a brother called me and said he was doing some studying about King Solomon and Adonijah, who had taken the throne after King David had become sick and he was laying in bed and he was not able to rule Israel. So what happened was Adonijah, when he took the throne, this raised a fuss in the kingdom, and the fact is that Yah had already promised the throne to Solomon, and he had prophesied, he'd used King David to prophesy this. So there was a problem. So what Adonijah did was not only an insult to Solomon, but it was an insult to Yah himself. So after reading the scriptures and going over what was said, what happened, what was said, what was done, I came up with a few conclusions and an answer, what I believe is an answer to the question of why did Solomon have Adonijah killed? So, get right to it. First of all, Solomon, he was, like I said, he was given the throne by Yah, and it was prophesied by David. Second of all, when Solomon became king, he did so with humility, and all he asked for was wisdom. That's it. And not only was he given wisdom by Yah, he was given wisdom and wealth, as we know from the scriptures. So, conversely, Adonijah, he took the throne by assumption. He took it merely because he was the older brother and felt that it was his place to be king. And secondly, he asked for Abishag as a consolation prize. Ostensibly, he asked for Abishag as a way to maintain his dignity. But really, Solomon saw through it, and he saw it as Adonijah's way back into the throne. Thirdly, Adonijah, he used Bathsheba to ask Solomon for Abishag, knowing that Solomon would not say no to his mother. This is trickery, and this is a deceitful spirit. So that's another reason why Adonijah had to be killed, because there cannot be any deceit in the kingdom. So, and lastly, he felt that Adonijah felt that he had the support of the people, or he at least wanted to gain the support of the people by throwing a party. He, slaughtered oxen, and there was, a lot of festivities and, and all that stuff. But really, at the end of the day, he was not the choice of Yah to be king. So it could not last. So after I found all this and wrote it all down, then I did a little Google search, and I found a little more depth to why King Solomon had Adonijah killed. And so the subject is, question: what was the true issue between Adonijah and Solomon over Abishag? Answer: in King David's old age, he developed circulatory problems, and a beautiful young woman named Abishag was brought to the king to attend him and keep him warm. Abishag slept in the king's bed to provide body heat, though she and David were never sexually intimate. That's per 1 Kings chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. After David's death, his son Solomon became king. Shortly afterward, another of David's sons, Adonijah, who had at one time tried to take over the kingdom, hatched another plot to wrest control from King Solomon. Adonijah's first step was to ask Solomon's mother, Bathsheba, to secure permission to give him Abishag as a wife. Adonijah's request seemed innocuous enough, but it was full of subterfuge. Solomon's initial response was one of indignation. He said to his mother, "Why do you request Abishag the Shunammite for Adonijah? You might as well request the kingdom for him, after all. He is my older brother." And that was found in 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 22. Solomon rightly saw Adonijah's desire to marry Abishag as a part of his brother's ongoing attempt to take over the kingdom of Israel. You see, in those days of royal harems, taking possession of a king's concubine was a declaration of one's right to the throne. This had been one of Absalom's methods when he led a coup against David. That's found in 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 22. Since Abishag was considered part of David's harem, her marriage to Adonijah would have strengthened the usurper's claim to the throne. So, in judgment for Adonijah's request, Solomon said, "Yah do so to me, and more also, if this word does not cost Adonijah his life." That was found in 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 23. He quickly sent Benaiah, one of their father's mighty men, to execute Adonijah. The tension between Adonijah and Solomon had been long-standing. Adonijah was older than Solomon, and therefore, under normal circumstances, in line before Solomon for the throne. But Yah promised that Solomon would be king. Adonijah had already attempted to set himself up as king while David was still alive. And when David was notified of the plot, he quickly made Solomon's kingship official. And that's found in 1 Kings chapter 1, verses 38 through 40. Adonijah's followers had fled, leaving him in a situation where he could have been killed for his rebellion. King Solomon mercifully granted Adonijah his life on the condition that he pay homage to the king and give up his claim to the throne. And that's found in 1 Kings chapter 1, verses 52 and 53. Yet, Adonijah was clearly not done in his attempts to become king. His plan to acquire Abishag as a wife was seen for what it was, a threat to Solomon's rule. Adonijah's plan cost him his life, and the sibling rivalry came to an abrupt end. The execution of Adonijah was considered part of the establishment of Solomon's kingdom, and that is found in 1 Kings chapter 2, verses 19 to 25. So, in conclusion, I would say many lessons can be learned from this account. First, it is clear that a struggle for power can cause people to turn to deceit, violence, and lawlessness. Second, Yah is the one who ultimately appoints rulers, not people. And third, there are consequences for sin. In Adonijah's case, his ongoing attempt to become king led to his early and abrupt death. We are called to submit to the will of Yah and live contentedly where Yah has placed us in life. So, in conclusion, in a sub-conclusion, I would say that I hope this answers your question, brother, and to anyone who has also possibly been wondering about what happened here and why. And have a good day. Take care.